When Prime Minister Shinzo Abe handed Kuroda and his deputy governors their letters of appointment, he asked them to achieve the government's 2% inflation target as quickly as possible. Under previous Governor Masaki Shirakawa, the rate surpassed 2% temporarily amid a surge in crude oil and grain prices, but it has rarely been in positive territory since 2009. How and when will Kuroda achieve the government target? Kuroda says the 2% inflation target should be achieved by implementing bold easing measures in both quantitative and qualitative terms. He says he's confident such measures are possible. He says it would be quite favorable if the target could be met within 2 years. Deputy Governor Kikuo Iwata, a former professor at Gakushin University, has consistently advocated a reflation policy that pushes up prices in a stable manner through planned monetary expansion. He is said to be one of the economists whose ideas are closest to those of Abe. Iwata says shifting to an inflation-targeted policy is essential for Japan to move out of deflation. He says he has always believed this to be true and has researched the idea. He says he will now put those ideas into practice. He says that he is taking on a heavy responsibility. Iwata was asked what the BOJ will do if it fails to achieve the 2% target. Iwata says that if the target is not achieved in 2 years, or is not close to being achieved when 2 years are nearly up, the central bank must take responsibility. He says if it turns out to be a miscalculation on his part, the best way to take responsibility would be to resign. The other deputy governor, Hiroshi Nakaso, is a dyed-in-the-wool central banker. Some observers say his policies differ from those of Kuroda and Iwata, who favor aggressive monetary easing. Nakaso says the bank must take to heart the fact that it has failed to produce results or end deflation so far. He says that if the BOJ had taken other measures, they may have had a different result. He says he wants to continue to move forward and to come up with new ideas without being bound by past examples. The Bank of Japan has made a fresh start, but which way it's headed remains to be seen. Good evening. Welcome to Newswatch 9 for Thursday, March 21st. Governor Haruhiko Kuroda will now lead the Bank of Japan as it implements its bold monetary policies. At his news conference, Kuroda stressed his firm resolve to end deflation in Japan. How does Kuroda plan to achieve the government's 2% inflation target?
Kuroda has suggested there are 2 ways to hit the 2% inflation target. They include the purchase of longer-term government bonds. Currently, the central banks can only buy government bonds with a maximum 3-year maturity. Extending the terms could bring down long-term interest rates. Another possibility is for the central bank to buy a fixed amount of bonds each month without setting a time limit. The bank already planned to introduce that method next year, but the bank could carry it out earlier than scheduled. The bank could also purchase assets and stock with a greater risk of losing their value. The new central bank chief has been asked to introduce bold monetary easing, but how is Kuroda likely to do that? There are 3 points. 2 points. First, government bond purchases by the central bank. The bank plans to buy longer-term bonds. When Kuroda's predecessor, Masaaki Shirakawa, was in office, the bank purchased bonds with a maximum 3-year maturity. Longer-term bonds with a 5-year maturity, for example, will help the bank keep long-term interest rates down. This makes it easier for people and businesses to borrow money. The second point is the purchase of risky assets. The bank plans to buy assets combining with company stock and real estate, despite the risk that the price of such assets could go down. The aim is to encourage investors to follow the bank by buying such assets to revive the economy.
Now we are joined by our economic reporter, Hirotaka Toyonaga. In relation to monetary easing, we recently hear much about reflation. Could you explain this word? Reflation is a way to raise prices by supplying massive amount of funds onto the market. The idea is that the monetary easing is a powerful tool to deflation. At today's news conference, Kiko Iwata, the new deputy governor, spoke about this, and also Governor Kuroda said that he will do anything to raise prices by to 2%, and he declared to move forward with the monetary easing. Until now, there has been an idea that there is pluses and minuses in monetary easing, and in order to say both, the BOJ governor tended to use hard-to-understand language, but Kuroda was different in using plain language, and it shows that the BOJ has changed. Kuroda faces the challenge of achieving price increase of 2% in 2 years. And Finance Minister Taro Aso had this to say about this. He says, moving deflation to inflation and taking it straight to 2% is no easy task. He says it will be difficult for the public to suddenly switch gears to inflation after 20 years. So it is going to take some time. That is what Aso was going to say. BOJ, can we see the 2% increase in prices through the methods that was explained by our reporter Yuki Inoue just now? Well, the BOJ said that they are going to purchase longer-term assets, and not only in terms of quantity and quality, and it sounds promising. And Kuroda didn't mention specific policies, and he said that the policies will be determined at the next policy meeting. Also, Kuroda faces the challenge of keeping the BOJ organization united. The monetary policy is decided by 9 board members, and 3 took office today, and the other 6 have been working under his predecessor Shirakawa. So the new leadership is coming from outside, so it may not be easy for them to keep the policy board intact. But Kuroda led an international organization with multinational staff, so he should be able to do this.